Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Whether you are new here or have been here before, welcome. I'm so glad you decided to stop by, especially for today's video given the topic. Now, this topic is a bit of a departure for most of the videos that I have posted so far, but as a nurse, it is important for me to promote both health awareness as well as education on a variety of health topics. And with this being the month of May, which is both skin cancer as well as melanoma awareness month, the timing just felt right. Now, about a month ago, I was over on Instagram flipping through stories, and I saw that Risa Does Makeup shared that her mom had melanoma. She and I were messaging back and forth, and we came up with the idea for us both to share our stories as well as our favorite SPFs. So that's what I'm sharing today. Now, I decided to split my video up into two parts, so this is going to be my melanoma story, and then I'm also going to be linking below my favorite SPFs. I'm also going to be linking Risa's channel as well as her video below, so please go check both of those out. So if you are interested in hearing a little bit more about my melanoma story as well as a little bit about Risa, then stay tuned. So I wanted to start by giving you guys a brief introduction into Risa. I could not be more excited about partnering with her on this video, and for so many reasons. But one of the reasons is because she's actually one of the very first YouTubers I ever subscribed to. Now, I had passively watched YouTube for a number of years, but I never really got serious about following anyone until her and a few others. I could not wait for more content to come out. She is so experienced. She is a makeup artist, and I think she has about 20 years of experience, if I remember correctly. And when you look at her, you're probably going to ask yourself, how on earth does she have that many years of experience? She's absolutely beautiful, and she's worked with a diverse group of clients, and she has so many great tips and techniques to share. Every single video, I walk away having learned something new that I can incorporate into my routine. And if I had to think about which videos of hers would have to be my favorite, I'd have to say that it's her series on hooded eyes. As I've gotten older, my eyes have become a bit more hooded, and for a period of time I've gotten really discouraged with wearing eyeshadow because I would do this amazing look and then I would kind of bring my eyes back to neutral, and then all that amazingness kind of disappeared. But after watching those videos, I started to alter my technique a little bit, and I've rediscovered my love for eyeshadow, and she's helped me build that confidence again and feeling more comfortable with my eye shape. And for that, I am extremely grateful. Now, if I had to describe Risa's style, I would probably describe it as everyday glam, but a very realistic, doable everyday glam. But that's a little bit about Risa. I definitely encourage you guys to check out her channel. You will not be disappointed. She's so incredibly sweet, and definitely let her know that I sent you. So in terms of my melanoma story, I am a Florida girl, born and raised. I spent so much time outside growing up. I rode bikes, skated, I was in Girl Scouts and went camping. I spent so much time out in the pool. I went to the beach constantly. And my mom would apply sunscreen to both my sister and I, but she and I have very different skin types. I have my father's skin, she has my mom's skin, and I would tan. I never, ever, ever got pink, and she of course did. And so oftentimes my mom would reapply sunscreen to her, but we didn't know what we know now about reapplication. And then fast forward to my teen years, I spent even more time out at the beach with my friends. And of course I was not thinking about sunscreen. And when you're spending a lot of time at the beach, what are you going to get? Tan lines. And what doesn't work with tan lines? Prom dresses. So then we would go to the tanning salon, and you're not going to get those tan lines gone in just one session. You're going to need to get the whole package. And so that's what we did. And I think I only occasionally put on an SPF 15 on my face. I had an Oil of Olay moisturizer that I just kept buying over and over again, and it had an SPF 15 in it. And to be honest with you, I think I used that moisturizer up until maybe my late 20s. But I never really put sunscreen on my body. Again, I just always tanned. And then when I became a nurse, I started to look at my patients a little bit differently. I started to see the patients that took care of themselves over time and how it made a difference in their appearance. I could tell the ones that had sedentary lifestyles and smoked and spent a lot of time out in the sun and just in general didn't take care of themselves. So I started to think that I needed to get out of the sun because sun exposure can contribute to 90% of your skin's aging. And so I really hate to say this, but I'm going to be as transparent as possible with you. The reason I started to increase my sunscreen every day was because I did not want to prematurely age. Not that I wanted to safeguard myself against skin cancers, but because I wanted to look better. But then after a few years, I started to really get into skincare and skin health, and then I really upped my SPF game. And I've always gone to the dermatologist every year for skin checks, and I've had some precancerous lesions taken off here and there ever since I was a little kid, but nothing had ever really been serious. In January of 2017, I had a series of IPL treatments done on my face to address some of the sun damage. My friend Jen, she's been a friend for over 20 years. She's a dermatology nurse practitioner. She did those treatments, and I made the decision to switch over to her practice for my dermatology needs. Now, fast forward to late August of the same year, I was sitting at my desk doing some charting at work, and I looked down at my left forearm. I had been itching it, and so I pulled up my hoodie sleeve and I looked at the mole that I had there. And I'm a moley person, so I've got a ton. And it looked a little bit different. And it's hard for me when you do have more than one mole in an area to kind of keep an eye on certain ones, but this one just looked different. It seemed to have a bit of a halo around it, and it just looked dry. I thought to myself, well, maybe I used a new body wash, or maybe I got a new laundry detergent that my skin just really wasn't meshing well with. Now, I tried to shake this from my head. I needed to finish charting. I needed to get back to my patients, but I just couldn't. So I sent Jen a text and I told her that I wanted to schedule a skin check, and I specifically had an area that I wanted to address. So we texted back and forth. I made the appointment, and I almost canceled it. Well, you might be asking yourself, why on earth would you be thinking about canceling this appointment? Well, Hurricane Irma was quickly approaching Florida. And just previously, Hurricane Harvey had gone through Texas, and that was very fresh on our minds and heavy on our hearts. And as a nurse in an acute care setting, I am on what's called Team A. And Team A is the group that goes into the hospital and stays until the all clear is called. So I was going to be going to the hospital on Saturday morning at 6:30, and I didn't know when I was going to be leaving. I'm worried about boarding up my house and gathering supplies, not just for myself to take into the hospital so that I can live there, but I'm trying to get my husband what he's going to need in terms of supplies and setup with the house and our cat, and worrying about my parents and getting them prepared. The last thing that I felt I needed to be a priority on my list was going to this appointment. And the only thing, to be completely honest with you, that kept me from canceling that appointment was Jen. Jen is funny and goofy, and we just have a really great time together. So in the midst of all of the stress and everything that was going on, I kind of needed a break. I needed Jen. So I kept the appointment and I went. So I'm sitting there in the examination room, and her medical assistant comes in and we're talking, and she's asking me questions. I'm specifically telling her about this particular spot. She's writing a lot of things down, and then she leaves the room. And I can hear her in the hallway talking with Jen. They're whispering, and I'm starting to get a little bit concerned. As a medical professional, we're not immune from going online and looking things up. We just have some different resources to look things up. So I was a bit nervous about what this was on my arm. It really wasn't quite fitting any definition of anything that I could find online. So of course Jen comes in very lighthearted and funny and completely takes my mind off of things. And she's like, well, if you're worried about it, let's just get it off. Let's just take it off. So we took it off and sent it off for a biopsy in addition to a spot on my back. She bandaged me all up and off I went. Now after that, I reported for duty at the hospital Saturday morning, and I didn't leave until Monday evening. The hurricane ended up turning directions at the last moment, and so instead of hitting us at a category 4 or 5, it hit us at a 1. So that meant minor damage to our area. Of course, I didn't have power for 10 days. And unfortunately, that also meant that other areas were hit much harder. So I went to go stay with my parents in that time while they had power, and unfortunately my biopsy site got infected. So Jen and I are texting back and forth. She's trying to call in antibiotics for me, and I'm joking with my mom, hey, watch when this clears, it ends up being something. And, she got a bit angry with me for joking like that, but in a way it's kind of, I had to joke about it. So we ended up getting back into our home 10 days later, and about 9:30, 9:45, my phone rang, and it was Jen. Now Jen is one of those friends, we text back and forth. I can't even remember the last time I was on the phone with her, maybe even in high school. And there was a different tone to her voice. There was a seriousness to it. I don't think I had ever heard her be so serious before. And she asked if we could talk. And I said, okay. And she said she needed to talk with me about my biopsy results. So in a way, I kind of knew what was coming next. So I went into the garage where I could have a little bit more privacy. And she proceeded to tell me that I had melanoma. And everything kind of going on around me, it just was silent. And I was trying to focus on the things that she was saying in order to really understand what was going on and to try to quiet my mind. My mind was racing in so many different directions. Like I said, sometimes being a medical professional doesn't help you at all. So she was discussing my pathology results and said that we needed to schedule surgery soon. Now, if anyone had to give me that news, I'm glad that it was Jen. She reassured me that we were going to get through this together. So I scheduled surgery for early October and I had a wide excision. My scar runs from there to there, and I wasn't anticipating all that was going to be involved in this. They had to go down to the muscle. I'm not sure if you can see the curvature of my arm. I actually don't have any feeling right here on my skin from the nerves having been cut, but it's getting better in time. I was out of work for about 3.5 weeks as my arm was healing, and in that time I did get the phone call that my margins were clear. So now I go to the dermatologist every 3 months for skin checks. Jen literally has pictures of my entire body, of the different areas of moles, and literally she will sit there with her medical assistant and compare moles on the pictures to the ones that are on my body. I'm so grateful for everything that Jen has done to help support me through this process, and I'm so excited to be sharing with you a little bit more about melanoma and putting a face to a disease and sharing that it can happen to anyone. I was 36 at the time of this diagnosis, and skin cancer isn't something that just affects the elderly. So I hope that by watching this video and hearing a little bit about my melanoma story, you're encouraged to stay on top of your skin, monitor it for changes, and go in for a skin check. It truly could save your life. So if you made it this far, thank you so much for spending a little bit of your day with me. I'm so grateful. And if you like this video, give me a like, and I would truly love to have you here on a regular basis, so consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell. Thank you for all of the love and support, and don't forget to check out both my video on SPF as well as Risa's channel. Everything is linked below, and I hope this video finds you well. Take care. Bye-bye.